Did you know India cleared a massive 3.23 lakh crore debt in March 2026? A financial burden that's been sitting on our books for nearly 2 decades has finally been wiped clean. Ever wondered why fuel prices didn't fall even when global crude prices dipped? The answer goes back to decisions made years ago, and it starts with something called oil bonds. Between 2005 and 2010, global oil prices shot up sharply, and instead of passing the full cost to the consumers, the government at the time compensated oil companies by issuing oil bonds worth around 1.5 lakh crore rupees. Yes, this kept fuel prices stable, but it pushed the actual payment into the future. Let me try to explain this a little bit. Think of bonds as IOUs. If you buy groceries worth 1000 rupees but forget your wallet, you might tell the shopkeeper, "I'll pay you next week." That note is basically a bond, a promise to repay later, usually with interest. Now, imagine that same idea but scaled up to tens of thousands of crores. These oil bonds didn't disappear. They sat on the government's balance sheet, and over the years, interest kept adding up. By the time the final repayments came due, the total had ballooned to 3.23 lakh crore rupees. During 2010 and 2013, India was facing multiple economic pressures: high deficits, high levels of corruption, a weakening currency, and rising inflation, all of which contributed to India being labelled in the Fragile Five by Morgan Stanley in 2013. I'm sure many of you would remember this. These oil bonds were part of that broader fiscal stress. Fast forward to 2026, the last major oil bond matured. With this final installment paid, the entire 3.23 lakh crore burden, principal plus interest, has now been fully cleared. To put that number in perspective, 3.23 lakh crore rupees could have built thousands of kilometers of highways, modernize hospitals, or fund massive clean energy projects. Instead, it had to go towards settling past commitments. And here's a remarkable part: even while carrying this huge legacy liability, India continued expanding highways, upgrading healthcare, and investing in clean energy, showing how much development has happened despite the drag of old dues. But the bright side? That chapter is finally closed. The oil bond burden that sat on our books for nearly 2 decades is gone. One major legacy weight has been lifted, and the road ahead is clearer than it has been in years.